So I washed the car and it started to rain. Now I know a lot of you detailer boys are gonna be like, no, you're using the wrong kind of sponge, you're using the wrong kind of bucket. I don't care, listen, I just wanted to get the road dirt off, all that salt and all that crap from the winter, so I can take it into Joe's garage and we can do a little quick repair on the roof. And then the car's not gonna be staying the same color anyway, so I'm not too fussed about the paintwork, I'm not too fussed about how clean and detailed it is. That's all gonna change soon anyway. Joe. Aviator,
how you doing, buddy?
Aviator Speed Shop.
Yep.
Talk to me about it, because you're not actually a mechanic. So I'm asking you to go out of your comfort zone a bit. Well, you've offered to kindly repair the ding in my roof.
Yeah, we're gonna have some fun with that.
Yeah, so it's not a proper repair. This is just a quick get the dent out, because the car's gonna get wrapped. So it doesn't have to be super neat. It doesn't have to be super tidy.
There's gonna be some dent guys watching this are gonna...
Oh yeah, please just stay out of the comments. It's just a fix, right? So we can wrap over it. So it's just got to be pulled out, filleted and flattened, skimmed over, and then a bit of primer just to seal it. Yeah, and that should be done.
Just make it look pretty for the wrap.
Yeah, well, it's going to look worse probably. Right, We've got to make it look worse before it looks better. But then again, it's going to get wrapped over. So I just want it flat so it can be wrapped. So don't start cussing bodywork people. We understand, we know.
We're going to do our best, aren't we?
We're going to do our best. And you're going to be way better at it than I am. So
well, we'll see.
I'll tell you that. So we'll go through the process. But tell me a little bit about Aviator Speed Shop. So what's going on?
Basically, I build one-offs for people. I'm an engineer, aerospace by trade.
Okay.
Done that for like 20 years. Yeah. And now I just build cool stuff.
So you do like proper fabrication, welding?
All sorts of heavy metal work, like obviously machining, fabrication, light sheet work.
Yeah, I'll take you guys around the shop in a little while, and you can see you've got this cool Honda K truck here, which you've been restoring for a customer. Cool. And you do like other bespoke metal work. And,
basically, if you want something ridiculous made, I'm sort of the person.
You're the guy to go to. If you want your Audi roof fixed, give him a shout after this video, obviously. But you're my neighbour to my office, so I, talk all the time. Yeah. And I kindly asked him if you could be willing to do the roof, and you agreed for whatever reason.
We'll have a go. It's always a bit of fun having something different.
Yeah, so we're going to get this. This is your project, actually. Quickly, while you're here, because you got your own YouTube channel.
Yes.
What's your YouTube channel called?
Aviator Speed Shop.
Aviator Speed Shop. I will tag it in the video, and I'll put a link at the end. And you're doing this as a project at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah, this is just turned up. Yeah. This is actually ours, unlike everything else is customers. Yeah. But we've stupidly bought this blind,
bravely,
online without even seeing it. Yeah. And it just got delivered. Yeah. And it's just, and the more we go through it, the worse it gets.
There's nothing inside it. There's no seats. There's a lot of wires dangling down. That looks like, is it an ECU on the floor? Okay. You're braver than I am with that.
Yeah, someone's had a go at repairing the wiring loom because the wiring loom's broke, and just chopped and made a right mess.
So you're on bodging someone else's bodge? Yeah. Which is always a great thing to do.
Yeah, and then bodging back.
Re-bodging someone else's bodge,
So it's going to be a complete go-through. I think once we get the thing running, because obviously it doesn't run, then it'd be as a side, is it a good car? Is it worth doing something cool too? Yeah. People seem to have a bit of a following for these.
Well, you've looked at the body. The body looks pretty good straight. Outside and underneath.
Which is
pretty solid,
stupid because I can repair metal work. Yeah, and I bought something that don't run. So.
Yeah, you could have done it the other way around. That would have been a lot easier. Yeah, that would have been too easy. Yeah.
Gentle warmth into it first.
Just makes the metal more pliable.
Yeah, and then we'll mask it up and strip all the paint back.
I get scared when I hear the words stripping the paint back. Yeah. That's point of no return, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
So apparently, the guy who owned this before Shadu, who gave it to me, he worked in like a truck truck yard.
Okay.
And they used to park sort of underneath the trailers that are parked up.
Yeah.
And one trailer hadn't been put up on its stilts high enough. So
right.
he went to park underneath it, and and that's what happened, unfortunately. Yeah, it's like
oh man,
it's like ding, as we call it in the trade. But I mean, I'm surprised now the car's been washed. Other than the horrific wheels,
it looks clean.
I genuinely don't know how wheels end up in this condition, but it's actually really clean. Yeah, I'm actually very impressed. It's scrubbed up really nicely, much better than I thought. It's tough because this project is completely budgetless. So I am really relying on the help of other companies and people that want to get involved to make it happen. Obviously, I've given myself a high bar because I'm challenging Autosportivo. And they do have budget, which is, I thought that through, didn't I? So yeah, we'll see what happens. But I'm quietly confident. I have got a couple of people, Mark Stanley being one of them, from TT Parts, who is going to help me with some bits. So yeah, this car is going to come good, and we will beat Autosportivo and their little Fiat. Yeah, they're trying to race this monster in a Fiat. All right, isn't a bath, but still.
These are pillarless, aren't they?
Yes.
That makes life easier.
Yeah, I was going to say you could just probably open the door.
Yeah, put a sheet on it so it don't get in the way. And, well, actually, obviously, the main thing is we can't get to the back.
No.
It'd be a lot easier if we could.
Yeah, unfortunately, we are working from the outwards, which is not ideal.
That's the worst.
But Joe, you are the king of this. You're the expert in this room. So I trust you. I think you can do it.
One eternity later.
And then sort of where we think it looks about right, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You can just shut your eyes.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, if you hold that. Just lightly, I didn't want to put it on there too hard.
Yeah.
So I might just pull off.
Yeah, it's working.
It's come in, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Maybe slightly higher in the...
Tweak the settings. Shit.
How did this go again?
It's just a...
Anyway.
Right. You mean that? You put it where you think, and then we'll go again.
All right, just keeping. I'm thinking more like that.
Yeah.
Just see how it goes. Close my eyes.
Okay. Right. If you take the clamp off as well, there you go. And we'll just. It just popped off.
Brake cleaner is the best stuff known to man.
Sure
it works. It works for everything. Cleaning stuff, setting fire to stuff, starting cars,
And everything in between.
And everything in between. And if you're short for a drink, there you go. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, disclaimer, isn't it?
Disclaimer, yeah, I wouldn't drink it. I mean, personally, but...
Not again, anyway.
No, yeah, that was a wild night. That was a wild Friday night. Not good.
If anyone's got a good technique for doing this, then let us know, because I can't get it right, you know? It drag. I don't know if it's the mixture or something, but it tends to drag. Is there something I'm doing wrong?
Yeah,
No,
throw us in the
not
comments. Any advice?
Yeah. There's bound to be a load of people that know how to do this properly.
Yeah.
Filler is like a...
It's an art in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
That's what I was saying, like these people that fill a whole panels, like, I almost admire it.
It's hard work.
It's hard work.
It's easier to build a whole new panel from
It
scratch.
really is. It's easier to cut out a panel and weld in a new panel than it is to filler a whole panel back together.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it, but, you know.
I think my problem is, I play with it. You know, I think you need to put it on and
leave
walk
it.
away, rather than like, oh, a little bit more, and then it just makes
Yeah, I think that's my problem when it comes to anything to do with like paint or bodywork. I haven't got the patience to just leave it to dry, like wait between coats and all that good stuff. I screw it up myself. I'm the problem. That's why I just don't do it anymore. I'm like, no, leave it alone, let someone else do it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I think you're right. It might be a case of layer it, leave
Just
it.
like, yeah, I'm going to walk away.
Yeah, and then come back and let's try that technique, see how it works. It's another little layer of filler. It's not too thick, and then we're gonna let that dry and then use the big mighty sander to bring it back down, and hopefully we'll have it flat. And then we can paint. Right, she's looking, I don't even know if my mic's still on. She's looking very good. Dude, this is looking good. This is looking, it's flat. It's flat as pancake. Tiny, tiny little bit there. That's good, mate. I'm impressed with that.
You just want to get that top edge.
Yeah, there's a little.
So it needs some a bit small, like, different shape to get in there, you know?
Yeah,
So trim that up nice.
feels good. It's gonna look good once it's wrapped. So it's time to start putting on a bit of primer.
And you're going to throw some etch primer on it.
Yeah.
And then block it back again.
So what's the difference between etch primer and other kind of primers? Or do we not know, or does it?
This one etches, and
Yeah.
the other one's...
Does etching help the paint stick?
I'm not going to lie and pretend I know.
I haven't got a clue either. So I know that
I'm not a paint expert.
Ed China loves acid etch primer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think that's the right thing to use.
Yeah.
Because if Ed does it,
If Ed does it,
it has to be the right kind of primer.
Yes.
Yeah. We are not bodywork guys.
No.
This is what we do. We are
I'm not a
improvising.
painter. I'm a fabricator.
We are best guessing this stuff here, which is fine.
Yeah,
This is how you learn.
This is good quality stuff as well. This is proper trade. Believe it or
Yes.
not, it makes a massive difference. I know I don't know a lot about paint,
Yeah.
but you know the difference when you're using it.
That's a
Get
good paint.
yourself, don't buy cheap rubbish.
Yeah.
False economy.
Don't do what I do. buy decent paint. Yeah.
This Sunox stuff,
Yeah.
yeah, it is good.
It is good, yeah. And before anyone says, oh, why haven't you masked the whole car? Remember, the whole car's getting wrapped. It doesn't matter at this point in time. We just want the dent out of the car so I can wrap it.
I'm sure this a fade, lovely, this nice.
Yeah, it'll be a nice blend right there, yeah. No, it's fine. Well, literally, the main thing for me is the car being flat and dent-free.
So we're just gonna be able to see all the imperfections now.
Yeah.
Just let it dry, we'll block it back, do that a couple of
Can't even
times.
tell. Good as new. So I found a can of Mitsubishi Satellite Silver. I'm sure that's probably the same as Audi Silver. I'm going to say in my brain that it's the same thing. So we're pretty much there. This is as good as I can be bothered for it to be. There's a tiny little ripple. I don't know if you guys can see it. Very, very, very small. It's not even a ripple. It's just where the new paint is sitting on the old paint a little bit. But for what I need, this is absolutely fine, and I don't want to take up too much of Joe's time. He's been a fantastic legend helping me out with this. We're going to put a little bit of Mitsubishi silver over it just to kind of, mostly to seal it, not to make it look better because it's not going to probably match anyway, but just to seal it from the weather because it's going to be a good few weeks before this gets wrapped anyway, or close to a month. So yeah, just want to get some paint on it, and then I think we're good to go. And then I'm back tomorrow to my little unit, and I'm going to do some other Lanoguard and bits. So let's get some silver on this puppy. Right, so I'm going to go ahead and say it's dry. It's not perfect by any means, but it's better than having a dent in the roof. I think you've done a great job in the time that you've had. It's flat, it's good. I can hardly even see the rip. Now the paint's dry. Well, I can barely notice there's a slight divot, but it's not.
The real test is taking the tape off, and
let's take the tape off and hopefully it doesn't pull the rest of the paint off, and let's see what it looks like. So that is what we need to do. So let's move some of this stuff. I'd say that's a pretty good, well done job. I'm not even offended. Right, wow. The dust is crazy. Just pop that on there.
Yeah, throw it in that bin.
Right guys, so that is one repaired dusty Audi. I don't even know if this has still got battery to record, but it's one sort of repaired dusty Audi, and it looks all right to me at first sight. Yeah, it ain't perfect. I know some of you are going to be like, oh, you look shit. But as I say, the main reason to do this is that the car's going to get wrapped in a couple of months, and I needed this dent to be out of the roof so we can wrap it. Once it's wrapped, as I say, this is why I didn't care about overspray. I'm not really bothered about the color not quite matching. Not really interested, because it's going to be wrapped and it's going to look awesome when it's done. So, job number 1 done. So back in tomorrow for Lanoguarding. Is the battery still on?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You're still going, you're still going.
Back tomorrow, gonna do some Lanoguarding, and I'm gonna do a little bit of fault finding, try and figure out why the airbag light is on, and try and figure out why the handbrake light is remaining on. And if I can get my hands on a rattle can, I might even paint these wheels, but I'm not gonna prep them, I'm not gonna sand them, I'm just gonna ghetto paint the wheels, because yeah, why not? Right guys, thank you for watching, and be back in the morning, actually. It's not the end of the episode. So it's day 2 of the Audi TT build, and I'm going to do something a bit interesting today. I've got my hands on a Lanoguard underseal kit. So this is body protection, rust protection. So this is the injector kit. Now, I've done some Lanoguarding before, and I've dealt with Lanoguard personally, and they are fantastic people, very, very helpful, very informative, and I really like their product. So this is the injector kit. That is for the bottle, I'll show you in a minute. That's the injector. We've got a nice cloth there. We have the nozzle, the sprayer. Good old brush. We have the magic potion itself. This is the Lanoguard Rust Protection spray. Let me take it out of the bag so you guys can see it properly. And we have the rust protection grease. Now, with all these bits and pieces, we are going to underseal the TT and protect it from the winter. All right, so it's a bit damp today. It's drying out. It's very windy, but we'll get on with it anyway. I've only got today to do. The video's got to be up tomorrow, so I've got to crack on. First thing I've got to do before I can Lanoguard anything is I need to clean the underneath of the car. So to start with that, I'm going to put the car on stands and I'm actually going to take the wheels off, and I might see if I've got time today and some black paint. I might see if I can do something with these wheels. They will be getting changed, but I can't stand the way they look at the moment. They just look so janky. I think I'm just going to ghetto spray them with a rattle can, at least so they're sort of black, all black and not black and silver. Right, let's get the car jacked up. I'm borrowing these stands, by the way. I have got some good ones, but whenever you need them, you can't find them, so they'll do the job, I'm sure. We'll see. Next job is going to be bleeding these brakes. While the car's drying, might as well make myself useful, and all the wheels are off, so it makes it a very easy job. Start at the back, start at the furthest brake away from the ABS module. However, that logic, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, right? But that logic in my mind was more for older cars, because now with modern cars with ABS, all the brake lines connect to the ABS module at the front. Whereas with older cars, they used to tee off at the back, which meant you had to start from the back. Otherwise, you would get old brake fluid pushing through if you started at the front. So with modern cars, I don't think it makes a huge difference where you start, because all the lines go to the same place. Anyway, I will still continue with the old theory, the old logic. If it works, don't change it. So yeah, let's do that. So what you're going to need if you're doing brakes are, obviously, you're going to need some brake fluid. .4 is the typical brake fluid most cars use. Some older cars use .3. Some newer cars use a .4.5, or I think there's even a .5. I'm not 100% sure. I know the Renault Kadjar uses a weird ESP .4, which is like a specific one for that car. But if you're working on something older, it's going to be .4. You're going to probably need some pliers. You're going to need an 11mm, which it's always an 11, which is the one that is most probably not in your toolkit. So yeah, that's fun. And ideally, you want one of these, which is probably one of the most simple brake bleeder tools possible. It's just a little push on with a hose and a container, and what it does is it allows you to bleed the system without getting air back into it, meaning you can bleed it yourself, and it's very clean, very tidy and easy to use. I do have a pressure bleeder, but I'm not going to use it today because I want to show you how to do it with basic tools that you probably would have at home. You can actually make something like this using a bottle and some hose, some silicone hose or whatever. I've done it plenty of times, it works. This is a little bit more refined, but it works either way. So let's take off the little nipple rubber, which is they're always a pain in the ass to get off. There we go. Now don't lose these. It's so easy to lose these little rubbers, but they really do help stop that nipple from corroding. So make sure you put that somewhere safe, like on the floor. And then we're going to crack this nipple. Just give it a few little hits, light hits, just to loosen it off bit by bit. So you just want to crack it, and then once you've cracked it, you put the hose on the end. Now, placement of the hose is really important. You really want the hose facing upwards, because when you push the brake, the fluid's going to go into the hose. When you let go, it might back a little bit down. Now, if the hose is up, that fluid is going to fill the hose, and when you release, fluid's going to go back down into the nipple. Whereas if it's facing downwards, that fluid's going to drop down and air is going to get sucked back up, and you don't want air going back into your piston. So really make sure your hose is up, coming down into the top of the nipple. So crack the nipple. I'm an idiot because I put it on the wrong thing. Right, as soon as you start seeing fluid coming through, which I could already see fluid coming through, you don't need to take it all the way off, just crap it a couple of turns. Then we're going to get in the car, and I'm just going to press down hard on the brake pedal a few times till fluid starts coming out. I'm going to have to do a bit of back and forth, but let's see. Hopefully you can tell me when there's fluid. Okay. And now I know there's fluid coming through the pipes, going into the little container. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep checking the fluid level at the front. I'm going to keep topping it up and going along, topping up and going along till there's more or less clear fluid in the front. So I'm going to try and get all that dirty fluid in the front out this side first. Then once that's pretty much running clear, all the other wheels will be much easier to bleed. So we want to get rid of all that fluid. As I say, we're going to top it up and then keep doing the same thing again and again until we get all four wheels pushing clean fluid. So just so you know, once you're done with a wheel, simple thing, nip up the nipple and take the hose off. Don't over tighten that nipple, just enough, just so it stops and a little turn. It's fine, you don't need to over tighten it, otherwise you'll snap it again. They're probably the most vital part of the caliper that you really need to be careful of. Now, just for comparison purposes, I'm going to show you the brake fluid that came out of the car and the color of that in comparison to what new brake fluid should look like. In fact, let me start with new brake fluid because that's cleaner. So, as I say, brake fluid should look light honey colored. You see that? Almost like maple syrup color. That should be the color of good brake fluid. Now, I'll show you what came out. What came out of the car is this. Can you see how dark and green that is? That is bad brake fluid. It's misty, it's cloudy, and it's green. And when it goes green, that's always a sign that brake fluid is bad. So that's how you know. Check your reservoirs. If it looks like that and it doesn't look like honey, you should change your brake fluid. Now the next job, while the car is drying, is I'm going to work out why the airbag light is constantly on. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to plug in my diagnostic tool and I'm going to check what codes come up. Now, the diagnostic tool I have is this. It's called a Undone. And these, I'm not joking, it's one of the best purchases I've ever made. You can go and spend £3,000, £4,000, £5,000 on a diagnostic tool, and yes, it will be good. This thing here, oh, stop that. Sorry. You can spend £3,000, £4,000 on a diagnostic tool, but this thing here, these are about £200 on eBay, and I'm not joking, it does pretty much everything you would really want it to do on regular diagnostic jobs. So plug it in to the OBD port, which on the Audi is just underneath the headlight switch on the driver's side, next to the bonnet catch. Very conveniently placed. A lot of companies try to put them in stupid places. So the Undone, let me go. I'm not sponsored, by the way. This is not a sponsored video. This is another tool which I was recommended, and I bought it off the back of another mechanic I knew who said it's really good. And I'm honestly, it's one of the best things I've bought. 200 quid, it does everything. If I go to maintenance and service, just to give you guys an idea, oh, let's go back. These are all the functions this can do. So it can do air, fuel, bleed, airbags reset, battery management, brakes, coolant, DPF, EGR, it does regens, it does everything. Steering angle sensor, suspension calibration, it does everything. And for 200 quid, and it's got lifetime updates. So I highly recommend this. Like I said, this is not sponsored. This is just a tool that I personally use, and I really, really like it. I think it's very handy, and it's better than any of those little cheap plug-in diagnostics that don't really do very much. Right, now it's all plugged in. I am going to do a full health report on the car. This will scan all the systems on the car and tell me if there's any fault with any modules, which there likely are there are likely to be some faults, but probably they're ghost faults, which don't actually mean anything. It's an older car, so there will be some modules that show up stuff that probably isn't actually accurate. However, this will tell me about my airbags, so I'm going to let it crack on. As you can see, it's doing its little scan. And once it's done, it will show me any modules that have any concerns. So I will reach back to you when that's done.
A few moments later.
So it's done, it's scanned, and it's come up with various little faults. Engine electronics has 3 faults. Climate control is going to be irrelevant. Central locking system is going to be irrelevant. Airbag, which is what we're looking at. Let's go into airbag and have a quick look at what is to be said. Control module faulty, so, all right. We'll try and clear it. It might not let me clear if the control module is actually faulty. No, so it's not going to allow me to clear that. So there's obviously an issue with the control module in this car. However, I'm not going to replace it because this car is going to be made into a race car. So I'm going to be removing these seats, going to be removing the steering wheel, and the airbag system will have to be deactivated anyway. So I'm not too concerned about that for the time being. Right, let's have a look at these engine faults because there's a couple on there. Again, these are probably past faults because the car drives fine and there are no engine lights to speak of. So let's go into engine. These older cars are extremely slow when it comes to reading and clearing faults. Right, cam position sensor, power supply to terminal, O2 sensor, bank 1. So there's a few sensors. These are obviously old because I've got no engine warning light, which all of these would show up if it was a current fault. So I'm going to clear those off. What I'll do, I'm going to drive the car around for a few days and then see if any of them come back. Then I'll start looking into it and see, because there's obviously an ongoing fault. But those I'm pretty sure are past faults, because if they weren't, my engine warning light would be on the dash, which is not. So that's that sorted. Let's see if we can work out what this brake light problem is. This tells the car when the handbrake's on or off. Now, I've pulled it off. I'm going to test to see if this is working, because this ain't working or it's not connecting, then that will be our problem. We'll have to get another one. And it's such a minor problem, but it's annoying as well. You know, one of those little issues. Right, so parking brake light is on. When this is pressed, it should. Ah, there we go, it switches off. Okay, so now we know what our problem is. Our problem is this. Okay, that's one little light which we have figured out. The airbag, as I say, is a module fault, so we're going to have to come back to that. But this, I'm happy that that's the only issue. So it's obviously just not positioned correctly. I'll figure that out now. Brilliant. Another problem solved. Right. Now with my incredible masking skills, took me a while to figure that one out, I'm going to just apply paint to these wheels. I know what you're thinking, it's shabby, and it is. It is. I normally would be more meticulous, but these wheels are temporary, and therefore so is my level of effort. Right, let's crack on. This is going to be horrible until it looks better. I'm not going to clean them any more than they are. I'm just going to get on with it. Go with a valve cover, because who cares? Brilliant. Brilliant. One wheel done. Perfect. Right, we'll put that in the corner. Let it dry. Yeah, and try and kill myself in the process, as you do. Let's keep it going. Now, I'm not going to say they're brilliant, but I'm going to say they're a lot better than they were. They're at least more or less one color now. So that's going to improve the temporary look of the car, no end. Now it's Lanoguard time, let's go. Right, it's finally time to hit the car with Lanoguard. It is nice and dry underneath. It doesn't look it, but it is. It's been drying for hours now. There's a little bit of prep work. You're going to want gloves. It is a non-toxic food grade product, so you don't really need a mask. You might want to wear a mask, that's totally up to you. it does smell like sheep. It is actually produced out of the oils from sheep's fur, so it has a very sheepy smell to it. So you might want to wear a mask for that reason. But the smell does wear off pretty quickly, so just something to consider. I'm going to get my gloves. My clothes are going to have to get washed later because I will smell like a sheep. But let's get some mats on the floor and get prepped. So I'm going to show you what we need to do, and we'll take it from there. Now, before anyone says anything, I do have my safety glasses on. And this is the time when all I've got to do now is just scrape away any of this loose surface rust that there is, using my handy dandy regular wire scraper. Because once a Lanoguard gets on there, you kind of want it to adhere to the clean surfaces or to a solid surface. The loose stuff will not really let the Lanoguard get through. So yeah, you just want to get off as much of the loose rust as possible, and then we can apply the Lanoguard. And once you do that and you've got everything off, you can use an old rag and just wipe it down. The first thing I'm going to use is the Lanoguard motor spray. This is what it says on the tin. It literally is a spray that mists over any parts you can see. You can liberally apply it very easily, and the nozzle is quite clever. I like what Lanoguard have done here. They've made the nozzle separate to the container, so it's on a tube, which means you don't have to hold this. You don't have an awkward bottle in your hand. You can manipulate the nozzle wherever you need to manipulate it to get to the awkward parts of the car. So that's brilliant. So I'm going to start with that. I'm going to get into the wheel arches, get into the suspension, and just work my way around the sides first, and then I'm going to go underneath with it, and then we'll move on to some of the other products supplied with this kit. They've even put a little clip on there so it doesn't slide all the way in. Very well thought through. Lanoguard definitely planned this out cleverly. Put that on top of there, and now we can apply the Lanoguard like that, which is so much better than having like a spray bottle in your hand. So let's work it through. There we go. It's coming up the line now. You can see it coming through. And with Lanoguard, I think the key is to be as liberal as you can. Now, there are certain bits you want to avoid. You definitely want to avoid your discs and your calipers. Try not to get anything on that. That's important. The exhaust, you can Lanoguard the exhaust, but there are pros and cons to Lanoguarding your exhaust, which is it will smell for a while as it burns off. I'm not going to spray the exhaust. The exhaust is in great condition on this car. It will also get changed, so there's no point in spraying. My main concern are all the suspension components, the subframes, the diff mounts, all of those sorts of bits, all the structural components. That's what I'm really going to focus my energy on today. As I say, the exhaust, I'm not too fussed about. That's going anyway. So let's get cracking. Come on, Lanoguardy guard. There we go. And it sprays, as you can see, very, very thick, very liberally. And you want to just get it everywhere. You want to literally cake the underneath of this car till it's almost dripping. Every nook and cranny, really get in there. The more you have on there, the better it will seal. It does take about a week to fully cure to sort of a waxy substance, a waxy texture, but you need to give it a minimum of about 24 hours before you go and drive the car for it to actually start to dry. So ideally, if you want to apply this, it would probably be best to apply it over a weekend, like before you're going to take the car out for a drive, maybe on a Friday evening, afternoon, and then leave the car till Sunday or Monday and then take it for a drive. That's ideal. Another thing about Lanoguard, which is pretty impressive, is they give you so much. Like, this is a large bottle. It doesn't look it, but this goes a long way. I can probably do this car twice over with this bottle. So I'm going to have enough to top up next year if I need to, next winter. Now, this is the injector kit, which means it comes with this extra nozzle. Now, this nozzle is very clever. You basically replace the end nozzle on the sprayer with the injector nozzle. And what this allows you to do is put the Lanoguard into crevices and places which you actually can't spray externally. So As you can see with these rear arms, they have a hole in the top. Now water is going to get in there and they can end up rusting from the inside out. So the injector kit allows you to put the injector nozzle right in there and actually get the inside of places like that with the Lanoguard as well. So it protects not only the outside, but the inside of areas like that. And it sprays in kind of like a fan sort of pattern, so it really gets the sides. The final piece of the Lanoguard puzzle is the grease, which is designed to be put on big nuts and bolts like subframe bolts and stuff like that. You can apply the grease directly to it. Now with this, you probably want to warm it up. You can either put it in a microwave, don't really recommend that, or you can put it in a container of hot water. I use a heat gun just to soften the surface, work to treat. And you can apply this to nuts and bolts such as, let me show you. You want to apply it to like places like this where you really got nuts and bolts that you want to come back out eventually. It's a great way to get that real contact. So all your big nuts and bolts, things that you want to not seize up, not rust in, that's where you're going to apply the grease to. And there you have it. A couple of days of work, some help from some mates, and the car definitely looks better than it did. As I keep saying, this is going to be a track day car. So all the imperfections, all the little rush bits that we did, it is just temporary. It's purely to make the car look moderately acceptable on the road until I get it all wrapped. I get new wheels. I'm going to get a big wing for it. I'm going to get a splitter. I'm going to try and get some plastic windows, racing seats, roll cage, harnesses, racing wheel, intake and exhaust, and possibly upgrade the suspension. That's the plan. Let's see how far it goes. In the meantime, probably a couple of weeks now till you see the car again, and we'll be doing some more mechanical side work to it at that point, servicing, hopefully exhaust, and a few of those bits I mentioned before. Thank you for watching, guys. I want to send a massive shout out to Lanoguard for sending me some products to use in this video. They've also sent me a link, which is in the description, which you guys can use to get £5 off your next order. I also really want to thank Joe from the Aviator Speed Shop for helping me repair my roof. You're a legend, mate. And I can't wait to do some more work alongside you in the future. This car is a huge undertaking. I have absolutely no budget, and I am building this entire build purely off of the help and generosity of others. If you guys have a company or business that would like to get involved in some way and help with the build, please feel free to get in touch with me. I need all the help I can get to get this car where I need it to be to really challenge Autosportivo in the grand finale race